Hi guys, it's Shayla here, and today I'm going to be showing you how I cut a pineapple in 3 different uses that I have for it. So first we're going to start by cutting the pineapple. I start by using a bread knife, which is very sharp and it has a serrated edge to get through the skin. And I cut through from the top. You cut the very top off and just place that on the side. And then you flip it to the bottom. You cut the bottom part off. Once you get that, you cut it in half. And then you can do 2 things. I'm going to show you 2 different ways you can do it. You can either cut your half into fourths and then stand it up and cut your core off. And then once you have your core off, you cut around and get the meat of the pineapple off of that. Now on this one, it grew a little weird, so you have a little bit of the skin there, but you can trim that off. You cut the core off again on this side, and then you slice around. You kind of want to go along the skin so that you can get as much as your flesh off of there without wasting it. Okay, put that on the side. Now I switch to a regular utility knife. It's still serrated, but it's not as sharp as the bread knife. Once you have this cut, you cut those pieces in half, and then you can go across. If you want to do 2 at a time, you can, like this, or you can just go straight across, and you can get your pineapple sliced. Sorry, let me line it back up for you guys. Okay, you cut it across here, and then you get your chunks. Now, once you do this, usually I either put it in a container so I can eat it fresh. We like to freeze it so we can make smoothies, and I'll show you how I freeze my pineapple so that you can have separate pieces. You don't want them all frozen together. Since this one has that skin on it, you can just trim that off and you can still use the piece. And if you have any of the little holes where seeds usually grow, you can cut that off too. Okay, now let me show you the other way you can do it. Instead of cutting that into fourths, you can take the whole half with your bread knife and go along the skin like this. And as you go around, the skin kind of falls back. I usually twist it because it just makes it easier to start from the other side and do it from that way instead of trying to go all the way around in one motion. You place that aside. And with this one, instead of you cutting it in half, you can go at an angle and make basically a triangle. So you go at maybe like 45 degrees in on one side, and you turn it the other way, you go 45 degrees again and cut down, and your core comes out. Once you get your core out, you can cut it across like this, and it's still connected together. So you're cutting across, all the way across, and then cut across this way, or a long way, sorry, not across. Okay, and then this one has a little bit of that skin too, because same pineapple, the same on both sides of this. So cut that off, and then instead of, you can either put it in the refrigerator to eat it fresh, or another thing I like to do is, and this pan is already chilled, you don't have to chill it first, you can use it at room temperature as well, but this time it's chilled because I had frozen some fruit earlier. But I take it and I put the individual pieces on a cookie sheet, and it doesn't matter how they're laying, just make sure they're not together. You put them on there because you don't want them to freeze together. But this allows you to be able to freeze separate pieces. I don't know if you've ever frozen fruit, but when I first started doing it, I would throw all the fruit in the bag, freeze it, and a lot of times it will freeze and get stuck together. But if you freeze it like this, you'll get separate pieces. And so I'm actually going to cut another pineapple to add to this so I can have a full pan of pineapple. But I just wanted to show you guys how to do it. You just put separate pieces on there and then pop it in the freezer, and then you can leave it for a few hours, or you can leave it overnight, which I'm going to do. And then the next morning you have your own fruit. For smoothies, it's usually cheaper to buy the fresh fruit when it's in peak season, and then you can freeze it yourself instead of buying it frozen. Anything you buy prepped costs more, so it's easier to do it yourself, or it's cheaper to do it yourself, not necessarily easier. Okay, so the third tip I have to do with pineapple is, once you cut the core, my kids love to eat the core. So when one of my sons was a baby and he was teething, I got an idea to try this and give him a pineapple core. Well, he loved it, and it really did soothe his gums. So since then, with all of my kids, I've given them this when they were teething. It was a natural way to let them soothe their gums, as opposed to a biter biscuit or something that has a lot of sugar or it's processed and may have allergens in it. I have a friend that has her children have some allergies, and I recommended it to her because it's the natural way to do it, and it's, unless they have like acid reflux or they may react to the acid, then you don't want to do it. But if they don't have, like my kids don't have any allergies and they don't have any reflux, so for them, when they were older and really like in the thick of teething, I would give them a pineapple core, and they would just gnaw on it, and it would be so soothing to their gums. So it's a natural way to do it. So that's 3 different ways we use the pineapple. We either just eat it fresh, we put some in the freezer for smoothies, and then we use the core as well, so we don't really waste any of the pineapple except the outside, which actually you really could even use that if you want. You can pull this part off, and if you pull some of the leaves off, you can actually plant this in the ground, and it'll make a really pretty plant, and it looks like a bromeliad. And some people say you can even plant it and make more pineapples. I've never done that. I've done the plant and it looked pretty like a bromeliad, but I've never grown any more pineapples. I would love to hear from someone who has tried that and maybe been successful. But that's all today. I just wanted to share that with you guys. Thanks for watching.